So now that we've successfully set up the app, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to play around with the layout editor, or we're going to format how the app actually looks from the user end. So the first thing we're going to do is actually open the layout editor. So if you go to the project files, as you can remember, you click on that, and if you go into res and then layout, you're going to open your actual formats. This is your layout. So we're going to go ahead and open up fragment underscore first, and that's the first thing we're going to do. Excuse me. So as you can see, let me put this in full panel mode. You're going to have four different things I want you to take a look at. First thing is going to be the palette right up here, the component tree down here, your actual design editor right here, and your attributes panel over here, which you can minimize all of them individually or together and then open them back up. So, as you can see, those are all of your components when you open out your layout. So, what does a palette do? The palette contains all the views and buttons and scrolls that you can add to your app. Your component tree, on the other hand, just shows you everything that's already in the app and their relation to one another. So now, what do the attributes do? Fine. So we'll come back to that later. So as you can see above attributes are these three buttons. Let me close up attributes real quick. But these three buttons allow you to toggle between the design view, the split view, or merely the code view. And depending on what you're working on, that feature can be helpful to visualize them side by side or just one of them individually. So, also, when you have this, you can play around with these to either zoom in, zoom out, ratio, or just drag and pan, and I'll let you play around with that on your own time. So, if you locate this button over here, then not attributes, sorry, but right here, this three stacked almost. This is called your design or blueprint. So if you hit blueprint, you just have this without any of the things. It's just where things are in relation to it. If you hit design, you just see what your app currently looks like. Now, if you hit design and blueprint, you'll see both of them at the same time. As you can see, next is the button. And this hello is this text tab right here. And then in addition, you can also play around with the sizing of your apps. So if you go here, you can go portrait or landscape, or if you want to resize, you can hit that and play around with what medium you're going to be looking at the app on. So next thing we're going to do is explore and resize the component tree. So if we look at the component tree, let me minimize the palette. So now we just have the component tree. So as you can see, our button is currently on top of our text view string, which is telling you where they are in relation to each other. As you can see, it's under the constraint layout. So now let's explore the view hierarchy. So notice that it contains a thing called text view underscore first and button underscore first. These are your actual elements within your layouts. So now if we go to the code, you can see you have a button code, the text view code, and then the overall layout code. For now, just understand that as you add more elements, this will auto update and according to the hierarchy. So let's go ahead and change some property values. So let's go ahead and go to the text view. So as you can see, if you look at the text view, we're going to see some things. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go ahead and change is first to a string called hello fur, or if we go right here, first to a string called hello. Which is okay. And next. I don't know what happened, but okay. But as you can see, it refers to these values. We can go ahead and change these values. So if we click right there, as you can see, it refers to a string value. But we can go ahead and change it to to just say hello world. But we don't want to do that directly because it would be putting in a direct value and we want it to have context to a string. So what we're going to do is undo that by hitting Control C. So as you can see, you can right click here and hit Go To, and then Declarations or Usages. As you can see, we go here, and now we can change the value of that string. So we're going to now change it to Hello World with an exclamation point. Now, if we go back to first fragment and split it, you'll see we have updated that. So now we go back to code. The code is still constant and pointing to a string that's in our string resolution file, but our fragment view layout view has changed to hello world. So you can also change the name of that variable later on. Okay. So now we're going to go back and look at the attributes panel. So if you click here, you'll open up the attributes panel. So what are we going to do on the attributes panel? Okay, so now if we open up some of these attributes, you can go ahead and see what each one of these does, how it affects it, and whatnot. But if you go into common attributes, you'll see some of the more common things like text, spacing, style, and more. But if you also go into layout, you can see how it relates to the diagram, like its constraint, the layout width, and extra variables. As you can see, it also has a variable we're referring to, and the attributes depends on what we're talking about. So as you can see, we're now on the button first attributes and no longer on the text attributes. Go ahead and play with the attributes things to see what is capable within Android Studios. Give you a minute. So now let's go ahead and change the text view, text display properties. Let's go back, click on the text button. So the first thing we're going to do is select that, open up the component tree, layout editor under common attributes. So we're going to go back to attributes, common attributes, and we're going to edit some stuff. So let's see what we want to edit. So for instance, we can change the text, but we're not going to. Content description, text appearance, font family. We can change the font. We can, but I'm not going to. Type interface, text size. Let me make the text size a little bit bigger. There we go. We can change the line spacing, the text color. So the text color is actually the first thing we're going to change. So we're going to make it a darker gray. So Android Studios has a set of inbuilt colors. So what we're going to do is add Android, Android colon color slash, and as you can see, there's a bunch of inbuilt colors. We're going to select darker gray. You can bold it, unbold it, but I really don't like how dark gray looks here, so I'm going to set it back to, let's say, background dark, which will take us roughly back to black. So, what else is there? You can also select here, go to custom, and choose your color based on the wheel, but I'm not going to do that now. So, now that you've explored that, if we look back into the text properties, you can see that our text view color has changed. It is now background underscore dark, just like I said it over there. So what you do on the design and attributes page also auto reflects in the code behind the fragment, which is quite a handy feature, so you don't have to go in and manually change everything. So now go ahead and run your app again and see if the color changed and if the font increased. If it does, good job. So now, please go ahead and play around. Sorry, but if you go, close that. If you open attributes, go to all attributes. This is everything that's part of your thing, or your layout, and part of everything. So go ahead and look through them, see what you understand, and see what we'll use later on.